Greetings and salutations, viewers of YouTube. I'm your storytelling pal, Big Al. Welcome back to my channel. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good jazz. Let's get into today's story. I'm going to begin today's story by issuing a long overdue apology. There is a long jumper somewhere out in, Kentucky, who competed in long jump in the late 80s. And at a certain school that I'm not going to name because of trying to keep some degree of privacy, I ruined this poor long jumper's day. And I want to say that from the bottom of my heart, I'm really, really sorry. It was stupid on my part. I should have known better, and my apologies. Now, for those of you who don't understand why I'm issuing this apology, you soon will. So when I was on the speech team in high school, one of my events that I did was extemporaneous speaking, which is where you draw topics, you pick a topic, and then you have 30 minutes to prepare a 5 to 7 minute speech over the topic. You know ahead of time the topic's going to be political in nature, but that's kind of your parameters is, you've got 30 minutes to prepare a 5 to 7 minute speech. And because of the kind of time that was needed to do this event, we were always out of step with the rest of the tournament. Like normally there were, when it got to be lunchtime, there would be a bus full of all the competitors from each school that would go to one of the local restaurants in town. And the extent people were always left out of that because we were always still doing our rounds whenever, everyone else was eating lunch. And also when it came time to do the finals, where the people that had advanced from the preliminary rounds, we were always kind of behind everyone else on that too. So, for those of us who were competing in extemp, we had a lot of downtime with extemp competitors from other schools. And one of the things that happened with more frequency than I think anyone kind of really thought about is that teenage hormones being what they are, there would sometimes be hookups between competitors from different schools. Just kind of, one-time things. And so, there was always a question of location. Where do we go? And so people would go under football stadium or under the grandstands of the football stadiums to the bathrooms, wherever. And on one particular day, or one particular tournament I should say, found myself having this conversation with a young lady, and her idea was, because she'd always wanted to do it on a beach, she said since there was no beach around, the long jump pit seemed like a kind of a somewhat suitable alternative. And if I could go back in time and talk to myself in that moment, I would tell myself that while sex on the beach sounds like a really cool concept, the idea in practice is less than desirable, because sand tends to get places you don't want sand to get, and to do things that you don't want sand to do. And sometimes these are really painful things. And so, anyway, not knowing that at the time, we went to the long jump pit, and despite the fact that it was maybe about, I don't remember the exact temperature, of course, but it was in the low 40s, very gray, typical Kentucky December day. So we were in the cold, in the cold sand, and oh, it wasn't a good thing. And so the deed gets done, and I don't know why, but it was just kind of like we just kind of buried the condom in the long jump pit. And so if you are the long jumper who found this unpleasant surprise on your cleats after a jump, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But that was just kind of one of those things that seemed like a good idea in the moment, and just you don't think about what you're doing to someone else. One funny thing that came out of that was that so we had been out there long enough that, you know, everyone was expecting us and starting to wonder, hey, where are they? And so when we returned, like basically the award ceremony was getting ready to start. And so my friend Brad, when I sat down, he looks at me and he says, hey, Coach Meredith wants me to ask you a question. And I'm like, well, what is it? And he said, Coach Meredith wants to ask if it was good. And I'm like, a gentleman never talks. And so at that point, you know, several of my teammates are just like, well, what's her name? What school she's from? You know, what's her phone number, her address, that kind of thing. And I was just not talking. And so our speech coach, kind of just being mischievous, she goes, Donna, you're the editor of the school newspaper. Go interview this girl. And so someone handed Donna a legal notepad and a pen, and Donna went down and sat down right next to this girl that I'd walked in with just a couple of minutes earlier. And they start talking. And Donna comes back with this, like, list of notes she took about the conversation. And, you know, among them, the girl's address and phone number and everything. And she hands it to me. And she goes, there you go. Have fun. And it was super, super, like, awkward and embarrassing. And I was told my face turned quite red. As a matter of fact, looking at the camera right now, it looks like my face is also turning red just right now telling this story. But yeah, that was kind of a moment. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you're having a good one, whatever you're out there doing, wherever you're out there doing it, whether you're, you know, hope it's a good day or a good night or whatever. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good jazz. And I am out.